What if the business you're building right now is making money and quietly making you miserable at the same time? What if the thing you left to find freedom became a different kind of cage? Because that was my life. And I spent way too long calling it ambition before I admitted what it was. I want to talk about it because I think more women need to hear this conversation. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been rocking with me for a while, welcome back. My name is Nick Scott and I'm the founder and CEO of Her Income Edit, where I help professional women turn their existing skills into coaching income, digital products, and online businesses. So if you're excellent at what you do, underpaid for how much value you bring, emotionally exhausted by corporate unpredictability, or quietly wondering whether your skills could become something bigger, you are in the right place. And today, I'm talking about what I would do differently if I had to build my coaching business all over again. And this is all after burnout, after going back to a 9-to-5, and after learning the hardest lesson in my career in a single 15-minute Zoom call. Before I get into it, if you're still trying to figure out what you would even coach on, go grab my free guide, 101 Coaching Ideas. It literally walks you through 101 profitable coaching topics based on skills and experience you already have. The link for 101 Coaching Ideas is down below. And stay with me until the end of this video because I'm sharing the mindset shift that changed how I sell, how I structure my offers, and how I finally stopped building a business that was consuming the life I was trying to protect. You don't want to miss it. Now, let me paint a picture. It's 2019. I have a coaching business, and from the outside, it looks like freedom. I have clients, revenue, flexibility. People are following my content, leaving comments, telling me how inspiring I am. And every single morning, I wake up feeling completely hollow. I'm not talking about physically tired. Emotionally hollow. The kind of hollow where you sit down to write content and stare at a blank screen because you've said everything you know how to say and you're not sure you believe any of it anymore. I'm talking about the kind of hollow where a client sends a win and you feel nothing. The kind of hollow where you get a sale notification and instead of feeling excited, you feel a flash of dread because now you have to deliver again. And the thing that made it so confusing is that I couldn't explain why. Because everything was working. The content was performing, the sales were coming in, the business was growing, and I was running on empty. That's the version of burnout that nobody talks about. Because when things are working, you feel guilty for being drained. You might think to yourself,
wait a minute, isn't this what I wanted?
So you keep going. You keep posting, you keep launching, you keep saying yes to every client, every request, and every opportunity that comes your way because somewhere in the back of your mind, you're terrified that slowing down means losing everything that you've worked for. And your nervous system just quietly starts to give out in the background. I eventually made a decision that surprised everybody, including myself. In 2022, I went back to a 9-to-5 and it was a good job. It was a role that I loved, incredible work-life balance, the best benefits I'd ever had, a salary that showed up in full, on time, every time. On paper, it looked like I made the right decision, but something still fell off because there's a difference between a paycheck and income you own. And unbeknownst to me, I was about to learn that difference in a way that I will never forget. On March 4th, 2026, I got a calendar invite. 15 minutes later, the job I loved was gone. One Zoom call, one decision made by someone else, zero warning, and just like that, the income I had built my entire life around disappeared overnight. And here's the thing. In that moment, something became impossible for me to ignore. A paycheck is not safety. A paycheck is permission. And someone else is always holding the key. Options are safety. The income you build and own is safety. And that Zoom call confirmed everything I had been learning the hard way since 2019. And that is exactly what this video is about. So Let me walk you through what I would do differently if I were building my coaching business today from scratch. And these are not going to be surface level tips. These are the shifts that changed how I build, how I sell, how I price, and how I show up. So if you've been thinking about coaching and you feel stuck before you even start, I want you to pay close attention, because what I'm about to share might be the permission you didn't know you needed. So the first thing I would do differently is pay close attention to the emotional cost of every offer I build. Not just the income potential, the emotional cost. And here's what I mean by that. When you're a talented, high achieving and capable woman, people ask you for a lot. They want custom programs. They want unlimited access. They want you to be available whenever they need you. And if you've spent years being dependable, being the person others lean on, being the one who just figures it out, you say yes every single time. You build the custom framework, you open the messaging line, you answer the 9 p.m. voice note. And when a new client asks if you can add just one more thing, you say yes to that too. And you do all this because you want your clients to feel supported, because you want them to succeed, because somewhere in you, you believe that more access equals better results. And at first, that feels good because the money is coming in and people are getting results, right? But a few months later, you start to feel it. A low level of resentment that you're not ready to say out loud. A quiet dread before certain client calls, and an exhaustion that is still there on Monday morning, even after you've rested all weekend. And here's the thing, this is not a client problem. This is an offer design problem. Some offers are profitable and sustainable, and there are some offers that are profitable and painful, and those are not the same thing. Before I build anything now, I ask myself 3 questions. How much access does this offer require? How dependent is this offer on me being available all the time? And lastly, can I deliver this 6 months from now with the same energy that I had at the beginning? Because a business that depends on you being on constantly is not a business that gives you freedom. It's a job with irregular hours and no HR department. The second thing I would do differently is simplify so much sooner. When I first started building, I believed a more complex offer meant more value. So I added more modules, more bonuses, more deliverables, more access, more everything. I felt like if I could just add more, clients would feel like they've got their money's worth, right? But here's what I know now. Complexity often has nothing to do with value. Complexity is what happens when we're afraid. We're afraid the offer isn't good enough, afraid we'll be asked a question that we can't answer, afraid if we keep it simple, people won't see how much we know. So we add more and more and more until we've built something so overwhelming to explain that we start avoiding selling it altogether. Complexity delays selling. It delays feedback. It delays income. Complexity keeps you just busy enough that you never find out whether people will pay for what it is you know. A simple offer that people understand will always outsell a complex offer that they admire. Because the fact of the matter is this, admiration doesn't convert. Clarity converts, because readiness is not a feeling, it's a decision. Now, if you're still in the stage of figuring out how to build your first offer, I have a free 5-day email course that walks you through it step by step. Now, this email course is designed for women who want to start coaching but haven't built their first offer yet. The link for this 5-day email course is down below. But keep watching, because what I'm about to share next is the thing most coaches never admit out loud about why they keep overbuilding and overworking. And it goes deeper than strategy. And once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. Now, let's talk about validation, because this one is uncomfortable and it's everywhere in the online business world. When you start building online, social media becomes a mirror. You post something and it performs well. You feel good. So you post something else and nothing happens. And so you feel like something is wrong with you. Slowly, quietly, without realizing it's even happening to you, you start building for the applause. You notice what gets the most comments, the most shares, the most "this is exactly my life" responses, and you start creating more of that. And then you create less of what feels true and aligned. You start making decisions based on what the algorithm rewards instead of what your audience needs. You start measuring your value value by how many people watch, how many people said something in the comments, and you stop measuring it by whether your work is helping anyone get results. So before long, you're creating from pressure instead of intention. You're posting to feel seen. You're launching to prove a point. You're showing up every single day, not because it's moving your business forward, but because the silence feels like failure and the attention feels like proof that you're worth investing in. I stayed in that cycle longer than I'm proud to admit. And the most sobering realization I had was this: visibility and fulfillment are not the same metric. You can have a growing audience and a shrinking sense of purpose at the same time. You can have high engagement and low income. You can have people watching everything you post and no one buying your offer, because attention is not alignment. Building for applause is not the same as building for impact. The shift happened for me when I stopped asking, what's performing well right now? And started asking, what am I building toward? Those are two very different questions, and they produce two very different businesses. One produces a business that feels like a performance. The other produces a business that feels like a purpose. And the sooner you know which one you're running, the sooner you can change it. Now, this last one is underneath everything. A surprising amount of burnout in coaching businesses comes from this single source, and that is building from a place where you feel like you need to prove your worth. When you come from environments where you had to earn your seat at the table, where your ideas got overlooked, where you were underpaid for years of work that quietly changed everything around you, you carry something into entrepreneurship. You carry a need to constantly demonstrate your value. So you over-explain your offers, you over-deliver with every single client, you create more content than any one person needs, you never charge what you deserve because some part of you is still waiting for permission to call yourself an expert. You spend so much time adding credibility signals, adding more proof, more testimonials, more free value, that your actual paid offer starts to feel like an afterthought. And the people watching start to wonder why they would ever pay for something when you give them so much for free. And that is not a generosity strategy. That is worthiness anxiety in disguise. And your business starts to reflect that energy. It looks like working harder than you need to, giving away so much for free that your paid offers feel unnecessary. It looks like discounting your prices before anyone has even said no. It looks like exhaustion you have quietly renamed dedication. When I stopped building from that energy, something completely shifted. I stopped trying to prove I was worth it and started operating like I already was. I focused on clarity instead of over-explaining my value. I focused on outcomes instead of over-delivering to earn approval. I focused on structure instead of constant hustle to stay visible. And my quality of life changed alongside my income. A business built on proving is a business that never feels like enough. You'll always need one more result, one more testimonial, one more viral video before you give yourself permission to breathe. And that's a cycle worth breaking. So here's what I want you to take away from all this. Everything I just walked you through, the emotional cost of your offers, the complexity trap, the validation cycle, the worthiness energy, it all points to one thing. Most women are building complicated, exhausting businesses when a simpler, cleaner offer would generate more income with significantly less friction. And the first step toward that is having a real structured offer to sell, not a vague idea you're still workshopping, not a concept you've described 17 different ways to 17 different people. I'm talking about a structured, price, ready to sell offer. Something you can walk someone through in one single conversation. Something that has a clear outcome attached to it. Something you can send a link for without apologizing for the price. Now that is something I wish I had when I was starting in 2019. So I created it. It's called 2K in 2 hours, and it's a 20-minute video training and a 23-page workbook with 5 complete coaching program templates. You pick the structure that fits your life and working style. Fill in your skills, and by the end of the day, you have a complete $2,000 coaching offer. This micro course literally takes you from I think I can do this to having a complete coaching offer positioned, priced, and ready to sell. Because the women who are closest to income aren't usually missing skills. They're missing structure. And structure is exactly what 2K in 2 hours gives you. The link is below. Or you can go to my website at herincomeedit.com/2K. If I had to build my coaching business all over again, I would still build it without hesitation. Entrepreneurship has changed my life in ways that I'm still discovering, but I would build it differently. I would build it simpler, cleaner, and with more intention. I'd build my business with the understanding that rest is not a reward you earn after you succeed. Rest is a requirement for the kind of business that lasts. I'd build my business with the understanding that over-delivering to prove your worth is not a client strategy. It's a pricing problem. And if I were building my coaching business today, I'd do it with one truth I now carry everywhere. A business is only as sustainable as the woman running it. Your skills were never the problem. The way you packaged them was. Package your skills into clarity and everything changes. One clear offer changes what people see when they look at you. One fair price changes what you believe about yourself. One paying client changes what you think is possible. The fact is, you are one structured offer away from the momentum you've been waiting for. And that offer doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to exist. Because momentum doesn't come from thinking. Momentum comes from starting. If this video resonated with you, go watch this one next. It picks up exactly where this conversation ends and gives you a practical look at what it takes to go from idea to offer without waiting until everything feels perfect or until you feel ready. And if you made it this far, drop sustainable in the comments because that's the kind of business you deserve to build. Okay? I'll see y'all in the next one.